Hi, I'm Mike Holt with MikeHolt.com, and this video, first of all, before I get started, I want to take a moment to thank God for blessing me and for everybody and the blessing that we got from God. And it's an interesting video, and I stress out about making this kind of a video, and I just want to say something up front, and we're going to take a look at the slide here. I want to impact your life so you can provide the finest for your family and feel confident and satisfied with your life. I'm a pretty happy guy. Of course, I'm just naturally a happy guy. And if you knew my story, and if you get a chance to go to MikeHolt.com, and you go over to just MikeHolt.com, and you go down to free videos, and then you watch my story, that would be a great place to start, because, you know, sometimes people tell you things and they have nothing to back it up. So short version, I became a dad at a very young age, didn't finish high school, and didn't have a father. And so when you grow up, I was in foster care, actually reform school, but that's a whole other story. Not because of a bad guy, but it was basically foster care for 2 years. And when I got out, I got into a gang. Because, you know, what else are you going to do? You don't know what's going on. So that's my start in where it was, and I got myself into the trade. So I'm hoping that my experience, and I can translate it somehow to you, and it's going to make a difference. All right. Now, what's this video for? Well, this video is for those who want to become a journeyman electrician. You want to be a master electrician. You want to be an electrical contractor. You're like, hey, you know what? I want to provide for my family. I want more than where I'm at, and I want to do something. Now, if you're in an apprenticeship program like the JATC, or if you happen to be in independent electrical contractors or any other apprenticeship program, that program is probably designed to get your journeyman's license. As a matter of fact, many of those programs actually use our curriculum for the 4th year. So I'm not really addressing what we're talking about to you. I'm really talking about those individuals that, Mike, I didn't get into an apprenticeship program. I can't get into it. The contractor I work for doesn't have an apprenticeship program, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know where to go. Well, that was me. And I didn't know what to do. So I got some stuff for you to do. You ready for this? Let's get going first. So if you're not in a program, now if you are in an apprenticeship program and you decide one day, I want to be a master electrician, then you better watch the rest of this video. And you better watch my videos on how to be a master electrician or an electrical contractor, because those apprenticeship programs are designed for journeymans, not management and past that. All right, let's see what it looks like to be successful. Of course, you can go to MikeHolt.com and you can learn about me. I'm like a pretty successful electrician that didn't finish high school. All right, I love this information I get, and I'm in Instagram. I'm pretty active in Instagram and social media, so I really love hanging out with the guys, particularly guys on Instagram. Here's what it says here. My name is Joseph. I'm 25 years old and have been in the electrical trade for nearly 8 years. That's a good amount of time in the trade. That's just like, okay, you know, I graduated from high school early due to my firstborn son. Okay, it's kind of like, you know, me. I wasn't sure at first, and to be quite honest, would question myself a lot on if this trade was even for me. And you're going to go through that. And my son was the same thing. Dad, I don't want to be an electrician. It's hot out there. It's in Florida. It's hot out there. It's dirty. It's construction. I want to work someplace that's clean. So you can see that you can be struggling about whether I want to stay in this trade or not. Well, let me tell you, I've come to love the trade, and I love the electrical trade. I love all you guys in the trade. I love everything about it. I'm sorry, I'm just addicted to you guys. It has taught me a lot, from becoming a hardworking man to being very prideful of my work. I love Instagram, watching the guys. They're so proud of their work, and they do amazing work. So that's fantastic. Like all who have already said, college degree isn't for everyone. I am proud to be called a journeyman electrician. The only thing I can say, Joseph, 8 years, you should be working on your master's. Actually, you should have your master's. Not judging you, just saying. So let's get that next. Here's another one. Being an electrician is the best decision I ever made. I didn't know I wanted to be in life, and a random guy on a bus ride home asked me what I was doing for work. I told him I was a custodian, and he told me how about signing up for this electric company because they're looking for a helper. Now that's like incredibly rare that any company is looking for somebody who's a helper who's green. I didn't want to, but he insisted. So I applied, and it was the best career choice I did. And I don't regret. I worked my way up from a helper to a journeyman. Yes. To a master. Yes. In 10-year span. That's about right, 10 years. I think he could do it in 7. Probably sooner than that, but about 7. But he did it in 10. Through your program. Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, he used our program. So thank you. P.S. The ladies love electricians. I know they love my son. My wife brags about how glad she is that I'm not a desk job guy, and all her friends in sorority sisters complain how much electricians cost to fix a problem in their houses. And my wife said I'm the cheapest electrician she has to call upon to fix things. So that's kind of a cute story. So congratulations. That's what I'm talking about. It's so cool being an electrician. Mike, I did my apprenticeship while in high school. I've worked for 20 years in a trade, and now I'm studying to be an electrical engineer like Eric Stromberg. That's what I'm talking about. See, in this trade, it's so cool that you think you don't know what you're doing, you don't think you want this, you think I qualified, and before you know it, you kind of get sucked in, especially my program, because I make it so it's exciting and fun, and before you know it, you decide, you know what, I'm going to go to engineering school. That's cool. Hey, I was an electrician, journeyman and master, became an electrical contractor. You know what I did? I went to the University of Miami to get my MBA. Hold the story. What's my story? I'll tell you about that. Well, my point is this. You can stop wherever you want to. You can do whatever you want to do in the trade. Well, you can't stop because you got to always cover the code and the changes. Oh, I got this one just like I think yesterday. On the right-hand side, Dana just got licensed in Philly. Let's take a look at it. Philly just got the youngest African-American female licensed master electrician. Damn, I'm good. That's what she said. And that's that girl right there. Look how proud she, how excited she is. And then here, this gentleman said it. Dana just got licensed in Philly. We love your material. We are so proud of her. Mike, you are the man. Thanks for being you. Listen, this is too cool. You can just go amazing. Look at this young girl. She's young already. She got a master's license. Do you know what's going to happen to her whole career? Same thing with Joseph and the other guys we just talked about. Mike, I dropped out of high school. Through the help of Mike Holt, I became an electrical contractor in 2008. That's only 12 years ago. My house, 2 commercial properties, and all 5 of my work vehicles are paid off. See, part of my conversation, and hopefully maybe one day you're going to be able to see it in one of my seminars, I'm always a pusher. I'm always trying to get you guys in more. And one is to be able to manage your finances and get debt-free so that it doesn't really matter what happens. Coronavirus, doesn't matter. Take a vacation because you got the money. It's all debt-free. Now, I'm saying all this wonderful, great, la, 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 what a great world it is. But the reality is, it's not easy. Well, it's easy. Because nothing's hard. It's just a matter of in your head, right? Because nothing happens in reality except in your brain. So if you think it's hard, well, guess what? Oh, man, it's so hard. If you think nothing is hard. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to work. That doesn't mean you have to make effort. It's just not hard. So let's get the mind changed. Now, I got this. Devon, I made a comment about him a few weeks ago that I thought he was amazing. He's an 18-month in the trade apprentice, and he got, you can't really see it, the ultimate training library. And he'd gone out on the on Instagram asking, hey guys, I'm thinking of buying this thing for Mike Holt. What do you think about it? The guys will say, oh, just get into Union, we'll take care of you. Or they'll say, just get a code book and some highlighters. I'm serious. Get a code book and some highlighters, and that's all you need. One guy said, yeah, code book and highlighters. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, seriously? So he got all negative feedback. Now, he got a lot of negative feedback not to do it. Okay? Now, here's what he said after that. After I said, I'm so proud of Devon and his family and the commitment they're making to make that investment in themselves so they can take it to the next level. Here's what I saw that evening after I did that. I've been called it all. Stupid, dumb, retarded, moron, the N-word. Church boy, because he's a Christian. He's a man of God. Monkey, white boy in black boys' bodies. That means that he must be doing something that black people do not like. And the white people don't like that either. It's not a race thing. That's what I thought was the most profound thing what Devon did here. He didn't say, well, these people saying this because they're trying to be racist. No, people are they're just not nice. People don't want to see you succeed, whether you're white, whether you're black, Hispanic. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a woman. Nobody wants to see you succeed. And so he didn't understand that because I can appreciate that. He heard my story. And he goes on. It's an a-hole journeyman thing. This is a terrible part of this industry, and I'm going to apologize that you'll have people out there that you go to, you study, your apprenticeship, you go to the job site, you're all excited, you're going to ask them questions, and some people do it, put you down. Now, and then you're getting all beat up about that. Let me give you a tip. You're asking the wrong people the wrong thing. If somebody gives you any crap because you're trying to you want to ask, you want to talk about code, you want to talk about theory, you want to accept, and they give you a bunch of crap, learn to shut your mouth. Do not ever talk to the person ever again. Go find someone who does care. Get with your instructors or get with a group of people who are like-minded, okay? So here he goes on. It's a journeyman thing. I learned a lot for free. I don't think he learned anything. Thanks to them, I can work with little or no direction, and I gain skin thick as a rhino. So you can see that he didn't really learn anything. I just, hey, listen, okay, fine. I learned, not to talk to you guys, do it myself, figure it out myself, and I'm doing it. He says, but I sacrificed my confidence. When people put you down, how do you not believe it? When they called him a stupid, dumb, retarded, moron, the N-word, church boy, monkey, white boy in black boy pants. How do you take on, you're thinking to yourself, what the heck's going on? I didn't do anything to anybody. I'm just trying to move forward. So it's going to be not easy. Here's what he said. I sacrificed self-confidence, dignity, patience, and enthusiasm for the electrical trade. He's like, I'm not sure whether I want to do this. No one knew who Mike Holt was, or they pretended they didn't when he did the Instagram thing. It doesn't matter anymore. The industry-leading electrician thinks I am somebody, and oh yeah, I think Devon is somebody. 18 months in a trade, decides I'm getting the ultimate package. I'm going to just take it to myself because I can't ask anybody, not going to help him. So Devon, and you know what I thought was kind of interesting? When I put this together here, I looked at his face. Do you see that little something in his face that is like, you're going to be working for me one day because I'm going to move forward. That's what I see in that face. Love you, Devon, and your family too, your wife. Okay, next one. I'm going to talk to my son. Oh, you're going to talk about your boy, la, 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 la. All right, let me talk about my son. I have 7 kids, and he was like, oh my gosh, without a doubt, probably worse than all 6 of the others combined. It was every single day was a total drama. The phone rings. If you don't want to talk about it as a father, the phone rings. You're like, oh my gosh, who's calling me? What's going on? I'm telling you, Michael was a wreck. He broke everything. He did everything wrong. He was always getting in trouble. He didn't finish high school. He became a dad early in life. He didn't want to do anything. It was a disaster. Well, now he's Premier Power Inc. He's an electrical contractor. Let's just take a look at the little road here. He works as an electrician. Didn't want to be an electrician. Dad, it's hot, dirty out there digging trenches like that. He started studying. Look how young he is. He's studying motors in this particular chapter. That's probably the theory book. I'm sure that's the theory book. And then he's watching motor overloads. That's going to be the Understanding NEC. That's when we had big CTR TVs about 12 years ago. And then you can see him. This is in an RV. See, we did a lot of motocross. I was into motocross racing, and he was into motocross racing. So we would take all that stuff. We travel over to around the country, and then he's studying. Now he's starting to get a little bit together. He's starting to take my seminars. And listen, you're Mike Holt's family member. You dress professional. And if you guys are not dressing professional in the job and you're dressing like crap, guess what they're going to think you are? They're going to think you're crap. So you start changing your dress. So when he goes to my seminar, you're always the best. Look at everybody. This is an existing student. That's a student of mine. These other people, let me tell you something. Be professional. Now, this was a journeyman. He was a journeyman now. And he did a little healthcare facility, a little clinic or something like that. You see the face now? You see he's like, okay, I'm starting to get this thing here. And I got my code book in my hand. I don't remember what code book the red one is. Some of you guys remember. I don't remember what code book that one was. And now he's going to trade shows, learning about tools, learning about equipment. And you can see the confidence building in his face. And now, how proud is Dad? He's studying, getting ready to take his contractor's exam. And he failed, by the way. He failed the business. See, when you take a test, sometimes when you get the business part, the contractor's exam, there's a master's and there's a business section. So when you get into, we talk about that later on. We'll talk about how to take the test later on. He's learning solar, getting engaged there on some demos. And this is a photo not too long ago. Look how professional he looks. This is what he looks like when he goes to a job site. This is pretty cool. Now, Joe Cool, you know what I mean? He's doing a slab. Actually, we're doing a slab for my house. And that's him today. I have to tell you, Michael has changed dramatically. And you know what Michael's skill has? Michael is you don't know if you don't know if somebody's smart or not, right? Because you really don't know how intelligent they are because you just don't know. But what Michael did, contrary to almost anybody I have known in my lifetime, I've mentored many people. He is the finest person I ever mentored. You know why? He listened to everything I said. And I said, Michael, I need you to take that seminar. Or, Michael, I need you to do this. Michael, I need you to... He goes, Dad, I said, Michael, trust me. Dress this way, do this, do that. And because he had a mentor, and because he trusted his mentor. Now, I didn't have a mentor. I mean, I'm a young girl. I mean, I got a baby, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with life, get it out of the gang. And, you know, I didn't have a mentor. That's okay, you didn't have a mentor. But maybe you don't have somebody you can talk to, but you're going to have to start finding people that are going to support you and encourage you. It might be your spouse, you know, so find somebody who's going to say, you're doing good, keep going in there. Usually a mentor, you can tell when they're building you up. And you know what, if nothing else, when you get my program here, we are taking you from one point to the next point. All right. Now, why do you have to get licensed? You don't even care. Well, number one, if you don't get licensed, I mean, you can see the books back here on the side here, and this is a big mess because I was putting things together, but that's what you got to do. You got to read all those books. You got to watch all those videos. I mean, you got to make an effort. And guess what happens? And I don't know, my code changes here somewhere, whatever it's at. But even after you do that, every 3 years at least, you got to get a code change. You got to watch the videos. You got to watch the books. You got to go to seminars. You got to stay current. You got to stay relevant. You got to stay marketable. You got to be able to have all the tools. You have to have the knowledge in advance of what you possibly might need. An example: learn solar, learn motor control, learn estimating, learn business, learn every single thing there is in the trade, because one day something might happen, and guess what? Boom. That's what Mike Holt did. Let me tell you something. There was no books, there was no training, there was none of that. I had to teach myself everything I've had. I didn't get a chance to go to a school for this. I didn't go to an apprenticeship program. I tried to get in. Sorry, your brother's not a member, your uncle, you can't get in here. So I just worked myself. But you know what I had? I had knowledge. I had skill. Oh, on the job site, they made fun of me, though. I'd be studying my code book, getting ready for a test, because I had a baby. I'm taking care of my family. They're mocking me. You know what? I didn't understand. I didn't even care. And you know what happened? Every one of those guys took my class later on, which is okay. So now, why do you want to get licensed? Get the knowledge, get the skill. Okay, let's take a look at some of the notes I've got from people. Mike, I want to prove to myself and my bosses that I can bring value to the company. Do you feel that? Do you feel like, you know, I'm not getting recognized by anybody here? Well, how could you get recognized if you're not continuously improving yourself? In other words, if I see you and you are who you are and nothing changes, then my brain won't, the brain doesn't notice anything that doesn't change. Brain only notices things that change. I know I need to learn to code. Grounding and bonding, motors, motor control. What books do you recommend? Like, you're struggling, you're trying to find out, hey, I want to do something with my life. I don't know where to go to. We're going to talk about that. Mike, I'm not afraid of passing or failing the exam. My fear is that I won't be qualified for the responsibilities of a journeyman license that a journeyman license brings. I don't want to make a hurtful mistake to kill somebody. Oh yeah, you can kill somebody. When you start becoming a journeyman, we kind of expect that you're supposed to know things, right? You're the go-to person. By the way, if you are not the go-to person on your job site, I don't know how you're going to succeed, because you're not a leader. How are you going to be a go-to person? How many times have you gone to somebody, you go to someone who's a go-to person, you go to them, you ask them a question, and you're kind of studying, you're getting some book, and they give you some answer like, but that's not what the code says. And all of a sudden, guess what happens? They drop out of your sites. Okay, I'm not going to go to that person anymore. You need to be a go-to person. You need to be noticed. I tell my son, Michael, everybody's watching you all of the time. So what are you communicating to them? So we're going to talk about, he's afraid though, because if I get licensed, you know what? You're not going to have a problem, because we're going to train you to be a journeyman. You're going to have all the knowledge. You're going to know when to say, you know what? I don't know that. I'm really not skilled for that. And maybe you need to get with the master electrician on that one. It's okay, because you're a journeyman. You're not a master electrician. You don't know everything, but you're learning things and you're preparing yourself for the future. Mike, I've been an electrician and foreman for 16 years. I've developed physical issues that make it difficult to work in the field. What options do I have to further my career so that I don't have to work on a job site? This is a major problem. If you're working in the trade and you're not a journeyman electrician by the time you're 4 years in the trade, and you're not a master electrician by the time you're 6 or 7 years in the trade, you screwed up. Simple as that. You screwed up. And all of a sudden, something happens, and now you need to do something where you've already kind of like invested your family, you've already invested the income that you need to make, and things are going to change. Listen, we don't want you to do that. I put my son in a position to learn information, to be prepared, because life is going to be difficult. So now what's this person going to have to do? 16 years in a trade? He didn't say he took an apprenticeship program, which means he didn't. He worked in the trade and he learned 16 years of whatever he learned by whatever people taught him that told him, and now he has to make some decisions. Listen, there's a solution to this, very, very easy solution. And that is that you need to get knowledge. I would learn all I can, then take a quick journeyman's exam somewhere to get some confidence, and then keep studying, and then learn the information, then get your master's license. At least get your journeyman's license. Because you know what can happen if you're a journeyman? You can become an instructor. They pay some pretty good money for instructors. Really, some pretty good money. And they're looking for instructors. You can be an inspector. I was surprised. They really pay some pretty good money for electrical inspectors. You can move into management where you're no longer working on the job site, but you're managing jobs. You're a project manager moving around. But guess what? You need to have all that knowledge. They're not going to just take you and have you do this stuff without knowledge. That's why you got to complete the program, get all the information, and guess what? You're in control. You can decide what you want to say. You know what? I'm going to move there. You don't want to wait till you're hurt. That now, what do I do? How do I adjust my life to get to that point? And you might be like, nah, I'm hurt in 16 years, but no, what you want me to do is that's going to be too much work, and I don't have the time for that. Okay, well, what's going to be? Mike, I'm 55 years old. Want to get my journeyman's license. And this kills me. When people are getting later in their career and then they realize, you know what, I really need to do something. Of course they can do it. Not even a problem at all. I mean, I didn't start motocross until I didn't start competitively racing motocross. I never got on a dirt bike till I was 48 years old. Then I raced motocross. I was 65 years old when I got into mountain biking, and now I'm crazy. Okay, just crazy. Downhill mountain biking and cross country and dirt jumping. Actually, I'm leaving. Once we get down here, my bike is all ready to go. Boom. I'm going to Galisteo in New Mexico. I'm going to ride my bike tonight. My point is this. Be prepared. Mike, I'm 55 years old. I want to get my journeyman's license. I started with your basic electrical theory. Can you give me, in the order of steps, I need to reach my goal? And the answer is yes. We're going to get a video. We're going to show you everything. This is what you have to do step by step. Tonight is get you motivated, get you focused, understanding where you're going to go. And then next video, next week, we're going to talk about each of the individual steps. I've been doing electrical work since I was 20, and I never got serious about my trade until I turned 29. 9 years? 9 years. Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. 29, you decided, I'm going to get it together. I want to pass my exam. I failed it 3 times. How do you fail a test 3 times, guys? Well, there's only one way that you fail a test 3 times. You're not prepared. Well, how are you not prepared? I don't know. I don't know what material you use. I don't know how you did. You know, I don't know what's involved inside here. But if you take my program, you follow what I did my son. If you do what my son did, he failed the test too, but it doesn't really matter because he passed it. It was a business section. He passed it 3 weeks later. Okay? I need help to pass so that I can be a real journeyman. Take care, God bless, he says. I really want to be successful. I sent an email. I'm like, do you really want to be successful? Seriously, do you want to be successful? Yeah, Mike, I really want to be successful. I said, well, then you watch this videotape and you do exactly what I tell you to do. Don't even think about it. Just do it. You're going to be successful. See, you're going to pass the test. Now, listen, you might not pass the test first time. Who cares if you pass the test the first time? Because, see, you don't fail unless you stop. You just keep taking it. I know one guy, Frank Gonzalez, he came down from, I think, New York, New Jersey to Florida, and he failed it 7 times. I said, Frank, who cares? And when he passed it, I was so happy. He was so happy. His family was so happy. We're talking about commitment. We're talking about sticking with it. It's perfectly fine. Mike, I'm a pioneer pastor building a new church in Garden City, Kansas. But I still work full-time as an electrician so as to provide for my family and my 4 kids. And there he is. I'm trying to decide about getting my master's electrical license, starting my own company, or trying to start teaching electrical for people that would like to get their license in this area. I would like to have more time to work on building my church. Well, there's a lot there that I have to say about. So when we talk about master's license and what is your career move after, or why you get a master's and you're after that, we can talk about that. But I tell my wife, I was telling her about, she goes, well, the Bible says in Matthew 6:24, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Now, I'm not trying to get into this religious stuff. All I'm saying is that you got to make a decision. If you decide you're going to go into electrical contracting, Brian, you're going to have to help me here. No, you're not going to be building a church. Now, what you might want to do is decide to be poor and work as an electrician and do your church and build it whatever you can, or decide, you know what, it's not the right time right now for me. I need to take care of my family. I'm going to be an electrical contractor. And let me tell you what you're not going to do electrical contractor. You're going to have no time for church building. You're going to be killing yourself to try to figure out how to run a business, how to manage a business, how to collect the money, build the money, do everything involved, and then make enough money to later on decide, you know what, I'm going to build a church. So, Brian, any quick thoughts? And I'm going to move off of this real fast.
Yeah, actually, a couple quick thoughts, and I think we need to address a few comments that were made.
Okay.
I've done a lot of different things, and I'm third generation in the business. And I actually never wanted to be an electrician, and I never wanted to own my own company, and I never wanted to, for sure, own my own family business. And I became an electrician, and I owned my own company, and it was a family business, all three, which is just kind of the way it goes sometimes. But what I will say is this, that no matter what my thoughts were the whole time, I was like, okay, how can I set myself apart from everybody else? And I started at a very young age. I had my master's license. I think I was 21 or 22 years old when I got my master's license.
Well, you started with me when you were 19.
I came to my first Mike Holt class when I was 19 years old. But my point is this, I actually had no intention of ever having my own company when I had my master's license. I was actually trying to help my dad out when I got my license because he wanted to work in some areas that he couldn't with his license. But I said, hey, this could be a step in the right direction. And that propelled me on a career path that I didn't expect. Opened doors I could have never expected would have opened. And I ended up eventually, 5-6 years ago now, I work here. I've got a great job. I actually love what I do. And I'm still an electrician. But I'm an electrician that's doing something completely different than I ever expected. So all that to preface a couple of comments that actually I want to read. And I'm going to just kind of let you speak to them.
Oh, what? No, hold on. Let me cut you off right there. You're a pastor.
I was, yep.
Right? And I've seen you preach, and it was in New York City after I did that pre-seminar in New York City, and you were absolutely amazing. But can you be? We're not going to get into that part about what do you do with your career. So let's move off of that. And so you can't do both.
Yeah,
right,
you can't. It's yeah. Not good for the family. But let me just make a couple of comments here because there were a few people that made some comments. One of them was, and let me just read them both before you address either one here. One says, our company sees if you get your master's, you're a flight risk. They don't like journeymen to get their license. And then a second guy says, hey, how do you deal with states that don't require a journeyman license to run work? So the journeyman is sadly useless. And let me make a comment, Mike, and then I'm going to let you just go to town. I live in a state that does not care if you have a journeyman's license. And I'm sure that every company that I've ever worked for, when I had my master's license, thought I was a flight risk and I was going to steal all their business. And all I can tell you is that's a problem at the top. Because when I owned my company and I had about 40 employees, not only did I want journeymen, not that we require them in Florida, but I wanted them because they actually knew what they were doing. But I wanted master electrician working for me because that's somebody that's motivated that I can trust with a permit to do any work that I give to them because their name is on that permit number. So I'm going to let you run with this after that, but that's just my little twist. Haven't been a business owner with journeyman and master electricians both working for me. It's not every company, but maybe tell you something.
All right. Read me the question, the first one again.
Okay, the first one says, our company sees if you get your master's license, you're a flight risk. They don't like journeymen to get their license.
All right. Listen, this is the safe zone. If you guys are ever around me, it's a safe zone. What that means is this. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. You know what I think? I think that's a total bunch of crap. I think that's what you say so that you are not responsible to get your journeyman's license, or you're not going to get your master's. Well, you see, baby, or you see, husband, or you see, friend, or you see, everybody. You know, I'm not going to take a chance to get my journeyman's or my master's because my company sees that's a flight risk, and so I'm going to lose my job. So what I'm going to do is I'm just never going to get a journeyman's license, and I'm never going to be a master. That way, they're never going to fire me. Are you kidding me? What you got to remember is think, okay, what would Mike Holt do? Are you kidding me? I'm getting my journeyman's license the second I could get my journeyman's license, and I'm getting my master's the second. If anybody even said anything to me, I would tell them, go take a hike. Is it possible I might lose my job? Probably not, because if I'm amazing and I'm great and I'm honorable and I would never take their work at all, they're going to be like ecstatic to have Mike Holt working for them. So number one, I don't care what anybody thinks. So I'm sure that is not a true statement. But watch this. Let's go back over here to Devon. Devon is not lying when he's saying all of these things. He's not. They called him dumb, stupid, retarded, moron, and he could add a lot of other things because he's starting to do something and that disrupts people. So I'm not going to say there isn't going to be some like, well, you know, the boss doesn't like it that you're getting your journeyman's license, or, you know, I'm not sure if I would get that master's because the boss might like that. So I'm not saying you're not going to have people put that kind of pressure on you. I just would ignore it because I'm not going to stop my career and take care of my family because of what somebody else thinks. So that's I don't really care. I'm getting it. And if you don't like it, fire me. But you know what? Most contractors like to hire master electricians. You know why? Because master electricians have already probably gone into their job and they realize this is not what I thought it was. I'm glad to be back working for an electrical contractor. All right, what else you got, Brian?
All right. The second statement was, how do you deal with states that don't require a journeyman's license to run work? So the journeyman license is sadly useless.
Useless? Are you kidding me? Me studying, me getting a certificate, me getting confidence, me getting the ability to be able to, if the market changes and I'm working in a certain industry, boom, I can take off anywhere. Me having my master's. Listen, I got a master's license. I didn't want to go into business. I never told you that, Brian. I got my master's license, and I just got my master's license because I wanted to be a master electrician. And the contractor I worked for went out of business in 1975. I'm like, wow, okay, guess what? I have a master's license. When they went out of business, I went into business. Huh. So I don't care if there's no journeyman license. If you take my program and there's no journeyman license area, we'll tell you where to take a test so you are a journeyman electrician. Then you become a master electrician. So this stuff about, to me, this is all excuses. Well, you know, they don't have a journeyman's license requirement here, so that'd be a waste of my time. Waste of your time to get educated? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I just can't handle this, guys. Listen, I'm talking about taking care of my family. That's the only thing I care about. I cared about my baby and my wife and my family, and nothing was going to stop me. There were no excuses. I'm going for it. It was done. Okay, Brian. Okay. Next.
Yep. No.
Are you afraid to ask me another question?
No.
Okay.
We have one clarification, and I'm not sure who Chris is, but I think whatever you said about his story wasn't accurate. He said he did have his journeyman's license, and he's an IBEW union foreman. So I don't know which story that was in there, but he definitely says he did not screw his career up.
Okay. All right. So we don't know. So Chris, you're watching this. I don't know which one it was. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Let's go see if we can find that one. Well, that was the one, 16 years in the trade, developing. No, that wouldn't have been Chris because that was New Mexico. I don't remember. Okay. Thanks, Chris. All right. Let's go on. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to tell you what I would do. I'm not stopping. I'm motivated. I'm focused. I'm getting skilled. I'm going to take care of my family, and I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to be competent. That's where I want you to go. That's what I want my son to do. I mean, I got a little, he's doing that. Brian, anything else, or we're going? Okay. What are my recommendations for success? Listen, guys, I'm sorry. If this is too much for you, just turn off the video, go back and dig the trenches, pull the wire, and then all of a sudden get hurt one day and then realize, what am I going to do? Now I'm screwed. Or be prepared for everything. Here we go. How you get prepared. Number one, you get the book, The Slight Edge. That's the first thing you do. You read it, and we'll get into details. Two, we have a life skills library because you need to know how to handle life and what skills you have. See, you know, if you don't know how to manage, because you didn't have a father or mentor, that's what the life skills book, it's going to help mentor you to get you in the right direction. And the electrical theory, that's all you got to do, guys, first year. That's all you got to do the first year. It's not complicated. Oh, Mike, I don't read. Oh, perfect. You go back there, you dig the trenches, you pull the wire, and one day you're going to get hurt, one day you're going to get tired, and then you're going to get burnt out. Because you don't even know theory. You don't even have the philosophy of life. You don't have the skills that it takes. Okay. But those of you who say, hey, listen, I want to be like your son. I want you to mentor me. I want you to tell me what I got to do. Read The Slight Edge. Get the life skills book, complete that, and the DVDs, complete that course. Get the electrical theory course, complete the DVDs, and we'll tell you how to do it in the next video, every single step. That's what you do, step one. What do you do next? Well, that's step one. Step two, sorry, it's not that clear here. Learn the code. Article 90 to 480, and then there's a workbook. Answer questions. Now, this is easy stuff. There's lots of graphics and lots of illustrations if you haven't seen our books. And then at the same time, once you learn Article 90 to 480, which is your basic code rules, chapters 1 through 4, then, of course, with the DVDs that go with that, then you're going to get the Bonding and Grounding book, which takes you from Article 90 all the way to Chapter 8, and you're going to watch the videos, and then you're going to answer the questions. That's all you got to do. That's it. Step 2. Now, how long does it take step 1? We're going to talk about that next week. How long does it take steps 2? We'll talk about it next week. Okay, let's go to step 3. Okay, now I need you to read another book. Eat That Frog. This talks about how you manage things. And maybe you can look at step 1, 2, 3 as year 1, year 2, year 3, or whatever it is. Let me tell you something. There's no way I'm taking years to answer and to do all this stuff. I'm on it. We'll talk another story. So we want you to learn how to manage limited time. We need to take you into motor control. This is going to be year 3 or step 3. We need to take you to, I don't see the articles here. Okay, it would be articles 500 to 820. So that's going to be chapters 5, 6, 7, 8 with the videos that go along with that. And then you need to learn solar. Mike, I don't do solar. I don't care if you don't do solar. I don't care if you don't do motor control. The reason you don't do motor control because you don't know motor control. Nobody's going to put you there. The reason you don't do solar because you don't know solar. But watch what happens. On step 3, you do complete your motor control. You know, you're not a motor control expert, but you understand the lingo. You know what normally open, normally close, latching, relays, contacts. Okay, you understand what's going on. You can read schematics. To some level, not perfect, but you get going, and then you can get into that industry. And of course, you complete the solar comp, and that solar is a whole other world. You need to know how that works. You know what it does? Look at this. Let's go back to step 1. Step 1, you already know theory. You have a fundamental basic. You see, the theory that's in my books are the theory that you need to use the National Electrical Code. We're not into transistors and resistors. We're into GFCIs, AFCIs, arc fault circuit interrupter protection devices. We're into circuit breakers, fuses, transformers. We're into stuff that's real stuff. So year 1, you're doing pretty good. Or level 1. Level 2, getting in the code right away. And then bonding and grounding. Look, in the second level, maybe even only the second year, whatever it's going to be, you know bonding and grounding? You know the basic code? Let me tell you something. You're smoking almost every journeyman. There's probably not even journeymen on the job. You're smoking almost every electrician on the job. Again, this is a self-study program. This is because you're not in another program. Year 3, guess what you know? You know, motor control, you know, solar. Are you kidding? Do you know how much value you bring to yourself? It doesn't matter whether you get a journeyman's license or not. We'll go to level 4. Okay, now, at this point, you're ready to take your test. Number 1, you need to get the changes book because you got to get code, update yourself with the code because it might have been a little bit, listen, year 2 is when level 2 is when you cover chapters 1 through 4. Level 3 is when you cover chapters 5 through 8. Now we need to go and we have to cover all the chapters 90 through chapter 8, all at one time. And it's a really nice program to kind of put everything together. Then you get the exam prep book. Now we're serious. The exam prep book talks about, my mouth's being moved, Brian, if you could careful not move that for me. Then you get the exam prep book. This is now, okay, now we're focusing. I think it has something like around 2,500 code questions in there, and it has probably about maybe 1,000 calculation questions, and both in theory and all the calculations. Let me tell you something. Oh, and then you have the Journeyman's practice exam. In other words, now in year 4, what's going to happen is you're putting it all together. Now, whether or not you actually take a test is really irrelevant. You now have huge amount of knowledge, use the code, you understand calculations and how to make those decisions, motors, transformers, whatever the case may be, and then you get a practice exam. Now you take your test. Now, how do you take your test and what do you got to do? Those mechanics we're going to talk about next week. Let's move on now to the next one. I'll move this out of the way. And the next slide is the Journeyman's Library. In other words, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You might want to just get the Journeyman's package. See, depending upon where you are in the trade, if you are, hey, I just started now, well then get level, step 1. Okay, I'm in second year, okay, maybe get 1 and 2. I'm in my third year, well, if you're in your third year, you probably should get 1, 2, 3. Mike, I've been doing it more than, I want to get my Journeyman's license, I've been in the trade for 4 years or more, or 3 years or more. Okay, well then you got to get the Journeyman's package. That way you can not have to wait years and years and years and years, you just sit down, and then you start going down the line, you get a Journeyman's package. Next step is going to be the Masters. Well, it's usually about a year or 2 after you get your Journeyman's that you get your Masters, but it could be months later. Because if you've been in the trade probably 6 years or more, you can get your Masters without having to get your Journeyman, depending on the states and how it all works out. It's a matter of how much time you have worked in the field. I would strongly recommend that if you didn't get your Journeyman's and you're going for your Masters, that you get the Masters program. Okay, now this is step 5, which is, okay, well, this is the Master's exam prep with the changes, and then now when you get a Master's, I want you to be a great instructor. My God, I don't want to be an electrical instructor. I got to change the title of that book. That book is about taking an individual. It was intended to be taking an individual to be teaching students. And what I mean by teaching students is somehow get them to embrace your ideas, be able to get them to follow your direction. And I realized when I got done with that book, and it's too late now, that's a foreman. That's a project manager. You got to be able to take your ideas and get somebody else to accept the ideas. So that's why I want you to be a great instructor. Plus, you know what? You never know what will happen. You might be an instructor one day. And if you're a journeyman, I would recommend after your journeyman, you get the great instructor program and not wait for you to get the master to get that program there. Then I have a master's library. That means everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you put everything together because if you're going to be taking your master's test and you've been in the trade, let's say 6 years or more, you see if you buy the individual 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the cost is probably double the cost if you just say, hey, you know what, I want to get the master's. Let me go ahead and get the whole package and I'm going to study it. And then we have a curriculum how you go through one at a time. Then the next step is management. You got your master's and you decide, hey, you know what, I got my master's now. Okay, now I'm a master electrician. As Brian said, I didn't want to be an electrical contractor, but I got my master electrician. Brian did not want to be an electrical contractor, but he got his master electricians. And then situations change in my case, and in Brian's case changed also, that it was like, wow, but when I went into business, I had no clue how to run a business. I had no skills. So what I would suggest you do is once you get your master's, you don't have to go into business. But by understanding estimating, business management, and leadership, and reading the E-MIT contractor, you put yourself in 2 positions. One, to be the most amazing employee for an electrical contractor. And if you did that and you completed that, I know of people, I know of an individual in Boston that I had dinner with just last year that pays over $250,000 for people who have all this knowledge. Somebody that can take a project and really manage a project. So by getting the business skills, you put yourself in a position that you just know. And maybe the gentleman says, you know what, I've been 16 years in the trade and I'm kind of injured, I got something, what are my options? Well, let me tell you something. You complete the management program or you get the ultimate library, you're done. It doesn't matter if you've never done industrial work or you've never done residential work. I mean, once you get, if you did residential work only, you're a resi guy. Well, the fundamentals are what? Services, feeders, branch circuits, switches, receptacles, equipment. Well, by having the code knowledge, you can then transfer that. It's a bridge for you to be able to move on to other areas, but you're completely prepared for life. So when I see people saying I'm 55, or 19 years, 16 years, you know what happened? There was no mentor for them. Nobody helped them. Everybody say, well, if you get a journeyman's license, man, the boss not going to like that, or whatever the other reasons might be. Brian, you got some questions?
Well, there's a lot of comments here, Mike, and I would love to just jump in here for a minute because this is something I'm very passionate about. And I think there's a lot more to this than we could possibly cover in a little 1-hour segment. And a lot of what you're saying, it's resonating with the people in, the video land out there, but also, just with me, my experience, my life, the things that I went through. This is just kind of bringing up old emotions. And I will tell you this, that I have never wanted to be the guy that didn't know what to do, because then I don't feel confident. I don't feel like I'm in control of what's going on. I feel unstable.
Well, you're not.
And so
Yeah.
I think what it is for me, what it has been for me, and I can't speak to everybody, but what it did for me was it gave me confidence. I had knowledge about business. Let me tell you, I got more knowledge about business before I ever opened a business than I could have possibly needed.
Yep.
But when my boss came to me and said, hey, Brian, I need you to go check this job out, take this estimate with you, and let me know if the contract looks like it matches the project that they're expecting us to do before I sign this, I'm not going to be back in town for 3 days. I felt pretty good because I was like, hey, listen, I've studied some business. I've studied estimating. I know what's going on. I went out to the job site, and let me tell you, I did that, and my boss was like, that was the beginning of a whole new career for me. He put me in a different position than I had. I went from ditch digger and wire installer, which is fine. I mean, that's fine. That's a stage in everybody's career. But I went from that to a different position in the company where now he had a lot of faith and a lot of trust in me and said, hey, Brian, I want you to check this out. Hey, can you go check on the guys? Would you review this estimate for me? So I think what you're saying is this. There's stages for everybody in life. And maybe you're not at step 1 and maybe you're not at step 6. You're somewhere in between. But the reality is that I almost want to say, if you're on step 1, maybe you should actually be looking at step 2 so you're ready when you get there, or 3 or 4, or you could do like your guy there, Devon. Hey, I'm just going to get it all, and I'll have it all, and then I have knowledge, and knowledge is power. It's just that simple.
Well, think about it. Number one, obviously your confidence is going to communicate something to other people. Number one, it could be intimidating to people who are your peers because they don't like that. 2, it's going to give people a sense of safety and security. They feel comfortable with you. Like, oh, okay, what you're saying, the way you're acting, how you're communicating, whether it be business practices, whether it be bonding and grounding, whether it be motor control, you will come across and say, listen, and not only that, but you know what you don't know. You don't act like, well, you know what? I'm not quite sure about it. Let me check into that. And that's where you go to michaelholt.com/forum, and that's where you get other information. And what it does is, like you said, Devon got the ultimate training package. He's 18 months of the trade. People were mocking him. He saw the stuff. He realized that Mike Holt thinks you're somebody, 100%. Now, Devon's going to study theory, code. He's not going to wait 7 years to learn about estimating and leadership and project management, all that stuff. He's going to get that now, which means he's going to be so far ahead of, I'm talking, I bet you within a year and a half, Devon is going to be so far everybody around him. And you know what happens, all your distractors? I mean, the distractors that you have, they actually turn. They look at you and say, wait, listen, can you help me, Devon? What did you do? You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, if you can just resist those people, you're going to get to the next level.
Well,
what else you got?
I just want to follow it up with one more comment, and that is this, that when you are the person that takes charge of what's going on, not because it's your job, but because you just do, that is a quality of leadership that business owners and managers, if they're good ones. Now, there's people that are threatened by everybody, and I understand that, and you could be in a toxic work environment, but if you have a good business owner that actually cares about you, you have a good job, that is the person that they're going to gravitate towards for promotions, for pay raises. Yep. I had young guys working for me that were 19, 20, 21 years old. They couldn't get their journeyman's card yet because they didn't have their 8,000 hours or their 6,000 hours for the restricted. Right. They couldn't get it. I didn't care. I'm like, hey, you know what? You're going to be one of my 3 guys on my code panel. Everybody in this company that has a question is going to be calling one of you 3 guys to get their question answered because you guys have shown leadership. And they got pay raises based on that. You know, it may not have been a lot, but I tried
Yeah.
to I
Oh,
tried
yeah.
to
Oh,
really
yeah.
appreciate my guys when they were kind of putting out there. So I really just want to encourage people, grab the bull by the horns. The 8 years, the 10 years, whatever, it's not a time factor. It's a motivation factor. And when you're ready to go, let me tell you, you can go and you can go hard.
Here's something to think about. If you are in an organized apprenticeship program, it's going to take you 4 to 5 years to finish your curriculum. And then you can get your journeymans. If for some reason you didn't have that opportunity, now you're doing it privately, you know, you could be 3 years in a trade, and maybe you don't have all kinds of experience. But you have so much experience here because I've been mentoring you both at the business level, the leadership level, the code level, the theory level. In 3 years, you could complete my entire program, and you'd be running jobs and managing people, doing all kinds of things, waiting for another year or two before you can get your journeyman's license, whatever, another year after that before you get your master's license. It doesn't really matter because, see, electrical contractor, now there are always people that are not very nice, but generally electrical contractors and people in general, they're looking for leaders. Even if it's just an apprentice, you got theory, you're a leader, you're 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, people want leaders. Some people that don't, guess what? It's beautiful. If you get fired by somebody because you're taking a journeyman's, yes! Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to go to somebody else and tell them, well, how come you left that guy? Well, the guy fired me because I'm a journeyman. It's like, okay, I want to hire you. That's a good reason that I want to hire you. All right, Brian, what else you got?
I think that's it for comments right now, Mike.
All right, let me see if I have any comments and questions. Hey, Mike, how can I get apprentices motivated to take their journeyman's license? Hey, listen, there's a lot of electrical contractors wishing that. So how do you get that? You know what? We're going to cover that at another time. This is not the place to do that because that's more of a management thing. And I just want to say, listen, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you guys that are willing to make that investment. Next video, we're going to talk about the individual parts. What do you have to do? And then you can then order the programs if that's what you want. We're the only program that's going to take you from theory to estimating and business management and motor control. We're the only publisher that produces the entire curriculum for an apprenticeship program. And that way the books are the same, the graphics are the same, the text is the same, the question, meaning the style. It's very, very comfortable when you work with the Mike Holt product. Alrighty, Brian, unless you have something else, I'm going to say God bless to you guys.
Just one more comment, Mike. You know, you kind of were talking about the program. I want to make sure that everybody understands that we're not a school. So you can't sign up to get your apprenticeship through us. So it's not like, you know, we say apprentice loosely, and for some people that are in a world that's an indentured apprenticeship or something that's an organized apprenticeship, that is a very specific meaning, and program has a specific meaning. But what this will do, and you kind of alluded to this, but maybe say it exactly, what this will do is this empowers somebody that doesn't have that opportunity to take their future into their own hands, because maybe you live in the middle of nowhere and there is no place for you to go. Or maybe you live in a right-to-work state where there is no union hall to join, there is no IBEW, whatever it happens to be.
Or no IEC, no independent
Sure.
electrical contractor.
And we have a lot of people in that position. So I just want to encourage people, you know, go where you have to go, but don't let anything stand in the way of you taking a hold of your future, you becoming the person you can be, having the knowledge that you need to be successful wherever you're at, whatever you're doing.
Those of you that are watching this, and I don't know your story, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have already been motivated doing all kinds of things, and I'm just saying congratulations, you guys are smart. I know you're motivated. I know maybe some of you guys just need a little bit of motivation, at least some direction. Like, what do I do? How do I get started? How do I finish this? All right, guys. God bless.